Hi everyone! Today we are going to be talking about playtesting. But before we do that, have you seen my shirt? It is from Kolok, Hyper RPG's brand new show. Well, it's not actually brand new, it's actually been around for a very long time, but they have a new season out and it is very cool, so please do check it out. It's a horror tabletop role-playing game live stream that happens every Monday and it is a very, very good show. Definitely do check it out if you have never seen Kolok on Hyper RPG. It has David Lynch vibes, it's got mystery vibes, it's really good. It's just like creepy and just like weird, and I love everything about it. And every episode has just been like a work of art. Like all of it has just been incredible to watch. Like visually, it's so aesthetically pleasing and like just weird and wild and like very cool. So if you like horror, if you like mystery, if you like experimental live streams, then definitely do check out Kolok. Like I love Hyper RPG and like everything they do, so please support them. So today we're going to be talking about playtesting, and specifically we're going to be addressing a question that my buddy Orion has dropped in a previous video, and the question is, how do I find the community to playtest my games? So I'm going to be talking a little bit about how I found my playtesters. Obviously I've been in the community for quite some time, and so I know a lot of people from conventions, from house cons, from just like, you know, meeting people online through Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, social media. And so there are specific people that I go to for playtesting, usually when it's a playtest group that is, you know, being picked up by a publisher, a larger publisher. They would give me a little bit of money that I can send over to the playtesters. But if you don't have the money, then I highly suggest, like, you know, asking your friends and being like, hey, would you like to playtest a game? And also I will feed you, or I will, you know, let you crash on my couch or something like that. So that goes back to the question of where do you find your playtest groups? So all of this, pre-pandemic, I found most of my playtest groups through conventions. So smaller conventions were great because that was a good way for me to meet a lot of people. I met a lot of game designers that way. I also met a lot of people who were interested in games. And so I would ask them, hey, like, would you be interested in playtesting a game? And at conventions, you can also sign up to make sure that your game gets playtested. And you can definitely do this through, like, you know, larger conventions as well. They have something called Games on Demand, which is amazing. Like Games on Demand, I think they were at PAX East. They're definitely at Gen Con. And how Games on Demand does it is if you are a person who has a game that you want to playtest, or you just want to show off or like market or something like that, then you would just tell them that you're interested in, you know, in having your game being run. Usually they would like the game designer to be running the game if, you know, it's a newer game, and not a lot of people know how to play the game. Hello. So how Games on Demand works, and I know this because I used to volunteer for Games on Demand, is that they have this table, and on the table is a whole bunch of different types of games that you can sign up for, and they are separated by, I believe, like different time slots. So you have like 4-hour, 2-hour, you know, whatever types of games. And you have like the sheet with a description of what it is, you know, how many players it takes, how long it takes, you know, what it is. And players or people who are interested in playing the game would come up to the table, they would look at all the stuff that's out there, and someone would give them a boarding pass. So a boarding pass is a piece of paper with a letter on it. So it could be like something from A to Z, right? And so at a specific time slot, someone, a volunteer, would shout out a letter and they would say like, now boarding A for, I don't know, Anteater or something like that. And people would start coming by and they would drop off their boarding passes and they would choose the games that they're most interested in. And they would just like basically mark them down, right? So they're like constantly checking like the player count. And once that group of people has chosen their games, then the next group of people chooses, and then the next. And you know, they're just like doing this boarding pass system, right? And so it's really interesting, it's really cool. You'll definitely get your game play tested if there's like a lot of people at the convention and they're very interested in, like, you know, what's going on, you know, what is this cool new indie place where they can play test games and, you know, hang out and meet new people. And that's actually one of the ways that I got into getting a lot of playtests done for my games. So I playtested Dads on Mowers using the Kids on Bike system, and I also playtested Jiangxi that way as well. At smaller conventions like Big Bad Con, I would sign up saying that I have a game that I'm interested in running, and at Big Bad Con, which is like an amazing convention. I love that convention so much. It's in San Francisco, so it is a little bit of a trek for me because I am East Coast. But at Big Bad Con, the cool thing that they do is they give you like a whole hotel room. So you would like play test your game in a hotel room, and they give you so much space, and everyone's really nice, and you have so much time to like, you know, go through all the feedback. You have a quiet space where you could just like, you know, ask players questions if there's, you know, anything that's sort of like bothering you or anything that you want to clarify with the game itself, and you just want to like, you know, test specific things. And they would give you like a time slot, right? So it's again like 2 hours, 4 hours, you know, or more. So like I said, we are still in a pandemic. You know, maybe when you're watching this is like way in the future and it's like no longer a problem, but for now, we are in a pandemic, and it is a little tricky for a lot of folks to go to conventions. So there are some opportunities for online playtesting as well. So for online playtesting, Big Bad Con again has this amazing online convention that just happened. But a lot of other conventions, like smaller conventions especially, they're doing like a lot of online stuff. So you would sign up your game and you would let players playtest your game, and maybe you're the GM, right? So there are opportunities for that as well. I will drop a link in the description below about where to find Big Bad Con and where to find Games on Demand and any other conventions I can think of that has like an online track. So what if you just don't want to do conventions in general, like online or in real life? Offline? No, that's not the term. A great place to find playtesters is actually through Discord. So if you are signed up through a Discord channel via a podcast or a live stream, or you know, someone who just has like a Discord channel. And you can also meet a lot of people on social media in general, right? It doesn't have to be just Discord. It could be Facebook groups or Instagram or the T word. Honestly, I'm just gonna say it. I like found a lot of friends through Twitter. Like, yes, it is a weird site, but I have found a lot of friends that way. So you found a space where you can find a bunch of playtesters, friends, potential like, you know, people who are interested in your game. How do you know what is the best type of playtest group? Well, there's not necessarily like a good playtest group. Like, you can't just be like, oh, this is a good playtest group. Like, you know, they're just people playing your game. But you can definitely sort of parse out what is good information versus like not so useful information. You want to make sure that the system that you have, like the game itself, actually works. And that is probably the most important thing, like just making sure that it works and it is viable. And this is probably information that you sort of can gather on your own, like despite whether or not like playtesters tell you or not, or like vocalize it, you can sort of tell like if playtesters can figure things out. And at the very end of the playtest, you might be looking for feedback, so you're going to be asking questions. Sometimes playtesters are going to say things like, I wish there was art on this character sheet, or I enjoyed the game, but this is not my kind of game. So be wary of that kind of feedback and make sure that, yes, that stuff is valid, like you're definitely listening to your playtesters, but at the same time, deprioritize those kinds of comments and prioritize things like, hey, there was a typo on this, or, you know, there is a mechanic that I wasn't really sure if it worked or not, like maybe you should tweak it this way, and, you know, let's talk about that instead. I think that keeping in mind your target demographic for your game is going to serve you a very long way, because based on your target demographic, you're going to have a better understanding of what to look for in terms of feedback and what to sort of push to one side for now. Sometimes playtesters can be really focused on one specific thing, and also if they don't have a lot of experience with game design, they might be focused on something that you're not necessarily in charge of. We are used to a more final product, and from that final product, you have the artwork, you have the graphic design, you have like, you know, layout, you have like, you know, pretty tokens and meeples and all of that stuff. But like when you're playtesting, you're not necessarily going to have all of that. Like you're probably not even going to have the funds to, you know, hire a graphic designer or an artist, or, you know, get proper tokens for your project, which I have done many times. I've just used like quarters and pennies and things for my games. I hope this video was helpful in answering the question of where do I find playtesters and what kind of feedback should I be looking for. I think for the next video, I'm going to talk about prototyping, because prototyping and development and playtesting, they all sort of like go hand in hand. So That's probably going to be my next video. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you all next time. Bye!